Hello and welcome to this Thursday edition of the World Report with me, Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. Let's take a look at what's making headlines around the world. Russian state media is reporting that Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Thursday, in fact, confirmed that preparations are being made for President Vladimir Putin's visit to India. That's correct. Lavrov has said that Russia is actively strengthening ties with major global powers. My colleague Vishal joins us for more on this story. Well, now this comes after a meeting, in fact, between Russian officials and Indian officials, and this news is just breaking on the World Report right now, where Russian media, state media, in fact, has confirmed that President Vladimir Putin will, in fact, soon be visiting New Delhi. Now, this also comes at the back of ongoing talks regarding the Ukraine peace deal just after the talks took place in Saudi Arabia's Riyadh last week with US as the mediator. Now, it's very important to remember here, PM Modi still remains, after 3 years of this long war, the only international leader to have met both Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky. So he is one international leader who has access and ears on both sides of the aisle, which is very important in such a global conflict. For more of this story, my colleague Vishal Vivek joins us. Vishal, tell us more. What's the latest you're picking up?
The latest from the TASS agency, which is the state media agency of Russia, it's saying that the arrangements are currently being made for the visit. The dates have not been announced yet. This is the top diplomat of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, saying so. And he said this in a video address while doing a video conference titled Russia and India toward a new bilateral agenda. This was held on Wednesday, is what the state media report is saying. And they've said that Lavrov has noted that the Indian Prime Minister paid his first foreign visit to Russia upon his re-election last year. So they are sort of complying to the visit, and they have confirmed that Putin will be coming to India. But they have not given the date, as I mentioned earlier. The details will need to be ironed out. This will be a high-profile visit. India has been hailed the world over as one of the one of the countries that has gone onto the world stage and talked about peace very often. So all of that will probably be looked at, and there could be many bilateral deals that could be signed, but all of that remains to be seen. But for now, we can say that Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, will most likely be visiting India pretty soon.
Thank you so much for that, Vishal. Moving on, amid frosty ties between Delhi and Dhaka, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has written to Mohammad Yunus, Chief Advisor to Bangladesh's interim government, wishing him on his country's Independence Day and, in fact, reiterating India's commitment to advancing the partnership between the two countries. Now, relations between the two countries have become tense, especially after the Awami League government led by Sheikh Hasina was toppled after a nationwide movement, and the former Prime Minister was also forced to flee to India. She's currently in New Delhi. The interim government formed after the change of guard is led by Nobel laureate and economist Mohammad Yunus. Now, amid reports of attacks on minorities, India shared its concerns with Bangladesh. Dhaka has said the attacks are politically motivated, not communally. Chinese President Xi Jinping is all set to meet Bangladesh's chief advisor Mohammad Yunus on Friday. Yunus is currently on a 4-day visit to China, with Dhaka and Beijing expected to sign pacts on trade and economy. US President Donald Trump has announced 25% tariffs on imported cars effective the 2nd of April. Now, the new levies mark an escalation in Trump's trade war against top US trading partners and allies. Mexico and Canada, in fact, were among the US biggest automotive suppliers just last year. Now, Trump has said that these duties would prompt companies to manufacture in the US, though analysts say that the extra import costs would in fact be passed on to the customers at the end of it. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen described the move as bad for business and worse for consumers. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Mike Carney has labelled it as a direct attack on Canadian workers. Listen in.
But this is very exciting to me. This is the automobile industry, and this will continue to spur growth like you haven't seen. Before I was elected, we were losing all of our plants. They were being built in Mexico and Canada and other places. Now those plants largely have stopped, and they're moving them to our country.
President Trump announced 25% tariffs against our auto industry. And this is a direct attack, to be clear, a direct attack on the very workers that I stood in front of, uniform workers I stood in front of this morning at the Ambassador Bridge.
I think there are two aspects. One is the car manufacturers and the other is the auto component manufacturers, and both get a tariff of 25%. In terms of car manufacturers, I think the biggest exposure to the US market is to Tata Motors through JLR. And note here that JLR does not manufacture as of now anything in US. Their manufacturing is primarily in Europe, UK and Slovenia. So they might face some tariff structure there. And Mahendra also have their tractor business, but it's very small percentage of their overall portfolio. So not that much impact, but JLR will definitely have an impact of this 25% tariff. And this also changes the way companies have been planning their product portfolio, their production manufacturing plant. So let's see how it all pans out. But the other aspect of auto component, which is between India and America, it's about India exports around $6.5 billion annually, auto components annually to the US, and that sector might get impacted. If the idea is to manufacture more in the US, I think right now the clear impact will be the prices of products in the US will go up very quickly because, getting manufacturing back to US will take several years. No plant can be manufactured in a day or two. So right now, I think the impact on the industry will be on the US cars will be that the prices will go up. And from here on, how various governments negotiate with US will also depend, will also make sure that that tariff structures have different structures with every country. Now in India, what is interesting is that China is a bigger auto component supplier, but is now facing a higher tariff. India has got 25%, but China has got another 25% on all of exports from the US.
Donald Trump has said that larger tariffs could be placed on the European Union and Canada if they both work together to do economic harm to the USA. Now, Trump said this in a post on his Truth Social platform, and I quote here, "If the European Union works with Canada in order to do economic harm to the USA, large-scale tariffs far larger than currently planned will be placed on them, both in order to protect the best friend that each of these two countries has ever had." German news magazine Der Spiegel has reported that the private data of top security advisors to Trump can in fact be accessed online, adding to the fallout from the officials' use of a signal group chat to plan airstrikes on Yemen. Now, according to reports, mobile phone numbers, email addresses, and in some cases, even passwords used by National Security Advisor Mark Paul's Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard can be found via commercial data search services and even hacked data dumped online. Staying with the story, the White House is continuing to try and downplay the security blunder. That's right, the security blunder when a journalist was added to a group chat about plans to, in fact, bomb Houthi targets in Yemen. The White House has reacted furiously after the Atlantic magazine published messages between national security officials in a signal group chat in their entirety. President Donald Trump has called the reporting a witch hunt, and he has even declared the publication a failed magazine. Now, this comes after the Atlantic magazine published what it says is a timeline of war plans shared by Trump officials in messages on the Signal app that mistakenly included its editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, as well. Meanwhile, on the political front, things are heating up too. The Democrats are calling for both the Defense Secretary and National Security Advisor to resign. Listen in to what US President had to say, followed by a report from Washington, in fact, by NDTV's very own Kate Fisher.
Hegseth is doing a great job. He had nothing to do with this. Hegseth. How do you bring Hegseth into it? He had nothing to do. Look, it's all a witch hunt. Here we are talking about some of the greatest business deals ever made. The greatest companies in the world are moving into the United States, and you want to ask about whether or not Signal works. I don't know that Signal works. I think Signal could be defective, to be honest with you.
Well, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has reiterated that no classified information was shared on the chat. But screenshots of the thread posted by The Atlantic show him giving specific details of timing and the weapons used. The Atlantic decided to release them after President Trump and members of his government accused the editor of lying and because of their repeated assertions that the information was not classified. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that President Donald Trump, quote, continues to have confidence in his national security team. And that was in response to a reporter's question on whether anyone would be fired over this. But several Democratic lawmakers have been calling for resignations. During an Intelligence Committee hearing on Capitol Hill, Democrats criticized the administration for not acknowledging that it was a mistake or apologizing, and called for those resignations. At the hearing, administration officials insisted the chat had not included classified information, and Democrats disputed that, while Republicans acknowledged that it had at least included sensitive information. Well, the top Republican and Democratic senators on the Senate Armed Services Committee are now asking the White House to expedite a Defense Department review of the incident. Kate Fisher, NDTV, Washington.
Thousands of Palestinians marched between the wreckage of a heavily destroyed town in northern Gaza on Wednesday in the second day of anti-war protests, with many chanting against Hamas in a rare display of public anger against the militant group. Now, the protests, which centered mainly on Gaza's north, appeared to be aimed generally against the war, with protesters calling for an end to the 17 long months of deadly fighting with Israel that has made life in Gaza insufferable, to say the least. But the public calls against Hamas, which has long repressed dissent and is still, in fact, ruling the territory months into the war with Israel, were rare. Indian film censors have blocked the release of critically acclaimed film Santosh over concerns about its portrayal of misogyny, Islamophobia and violence in the Indian police force. Now, the film, the UK's official entry to the Oscars International Feature category and even a BAFTA nominee for the Best Debut Feature, has been blocked by the Indian film censors. South Korea is facing snowballing damage from some of its worst ever wildfires that have killed at least 24 people and forced another 27,000 to evacuate. Now, the blazes have destroyed a 1,300-year-old Buddhist temple, houses, factories and vehicles, and even burned more than 43,000 acres. Hopes are now pinned on rain that is forecast for Thursday, but with less than an inch expected, the situation could continue to remain as dire as it has been. Istanbul's opposition-run municipal council has elected an interim mayor to run the city after Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu was jailed pending trial over graft charges that he and his supporters deny and call politicized. Authorities, by the way, have arrested more than 1,400 protesters, and this includes numerous photojournalists as well. Now, they are clamping down on coverage of a movement that Mr. Erdogan describes as evil, but which is driven, in fact, by anger at cumulative political repression and the powerless state of the economy. The next presidential election is not due until 2028 in Turkey. Meanwhile, in the UK, Rachel Reeves is facing a backlash after the government's assessment said that benefit cuts will push 250,000 more people into poverty and are now set to impact 3.2 billion families. Pardon me. Meanwhile, angry critics contrasted the Chancellor's austerity cuts for the poorest to the recent controversies over her acceptance of £7,500 from a friend to buy clothes and free tickets to a Sabrina Carpenter concert. The EU has warned that Russia must fully withdraw from Ukraine before European Union sanctions on Moscow can be lifted, striking a blow to Donald Trump's hopes of striking a quick ceasefire deal. The US president agreed to Russian demands that international sanctions must be lifted in return for the partial truce in the Black Sea after marathon talks in Saudi Arabia earlier this week. French actor Gerard Depardieu has said he loved women and was not a groper as he made a final plea at his sexual assault trial in Paris. Now this after his friend and fellow actor Fanny Ardant vouched for him. Depardieu, who has acted in more than 200 films and television series, has been accused of improper behavior by around 20 women. But this is the first case which has ever come to trial. In West Philadelphia, where he was born and raised, now there's a street, in fact, called the Will Smith Way. That's correct. Philadelphia Mayor Sherelle Parker and the city leaders honored the Oscar and Grammy winner on Wednesday, renaming a street next to Smith's old high school. He reminisced about learning the values of hard work and education from his mother and father before hitting it big as an actor and a rapper.
It's nice to have choices in life. Tony here chooses to get a new phone every year by exchanging his old one. Don't worry, Mike, you can get a new phone too. Big love to Gordon, who chooses a lifetime warranty to keep his phone lasting longer, just like his romance. Oh, love it. Keep your phone lasting longer, or you could get a new phone every year. The choice is yours at Vodafone.
Have we run out of milk?
Make more room for beauty. The hottest new arrivals join all your favourites at Boots.
Don't worry, found it.
Transform hard chairs and surfaces into comfy seats with Soft Sitter from JML. The lightweight and portable gel cushion that helps provide all-day comfort and support no matter where you sit. Its clever hexagonal honeycomb construction cushions, distributes and supports your weight. And its breathable design allows air to circulate, helping to keep you cool. Perfect for all types of seats or as a kneeling pad. Get the comfort and support you need with Soft Sitter. Only $14.99 from Asda, Argos, Dunelm, Tesco and jmldirect.com.
Why do broadband switchers choose EE? Because for just $26.99 a month, you get our most reliable full fiber with nothing to pay up front. So you can keep working while the kids nail dance practice or help them get that homework project off the ground. Plus, we'll even give you up to £300 toward your leaving fee. And we'll handle the switch for you. Search EE Broadband Deals.
Wouldn't life be so much easier if you could control your blinds at the touch of a button? With Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, there's no chains, cords or wiring because these stylish blinds are driven by a rechargeable power pack. New Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, the intelligent solution for home shading.
Whatever you need to ask about cancer, Macmillan's free support line is just a call away.
Hello, Macmillan.
Whether it's money...
Am I going to lose my job?
Getting on with life.
Can I still go abroad? Get insurance?
Or just need someone to listen.
How do I tell them?
Our specialist advisors are here to help as often as you need them. Whatever you need to ask, cancer, money, life, call us now on 0808 134 1000.
We know travel can be confusing, so let us inspire you. Welcome to Qatar. Experience it all. World-class hospitality, diverse landscapes from city to sea, and fly there with the Airline of the Year 2022, Qatar Airways. Book now at travelup.com or call 0207 580 5000. Travel Up, flights, hotels, holidays.
Welcome back. You're watching The World Report with me, Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. Moving on to business news now. US President Donald Trump on Wednesday said he would consider a reduction in tariffs on China if Beijing approved a sale of TikTok's operations in the United States. Now, Trump's comments came less than 2 weeks before an April deadline requiring TikTok's China-based parent company ByteDance to divest or face a US ban altogether. Questions about the fate of the popular video sharing app have continued to linger. In fact, since a law requiring ByteDance's disinvestment took effect on the 19th of January, after assuming office, Trump gave TikTok a 75-day reprieve by signing an executive order that delayed enforcement of the status until April 5th. Trump reiterated that the deadline on a TikTok deal could be extended further if needed. He previously proposed terms in which the US would have a 50% stake in the joint venture. Meanwhile, the administration hasn't provided details on what type of the deal would entail. Listen in.
For the TikTok sale, will you extend that deadline if you don't have a deal? Do you support or?
Well, we will have a form of a deal. TikTok is very popular, very successful, very good. We're going to have a form of a deal, but if it's not finished, it's not a big deal. We'll just extend it. I have the right to have the deal and to extend it if I want. So we'll see whether or not we have a deal. We have a lot of interest in TikTok.
Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has said US President Donald Trump has risked damaging the US economy with additional tariffs and has vowed to, in fact, lodge a complaint with the World Trade Organization or the WTO over a trade levy on Brazilian steel products. Lula said on Thursday at a press conference in Tokyo that he, and I quote here, it will raise the prices of goods and could even lead to inflation that he hasn't yet realized. Protectionism doesn't help any country in the world, Lula said. The explosive Sunrisers Hyderabad take on the Lucknow Super Giants at the Rajiv Gandhi International Stadium, Hyderabad, Thursday. SRH defeated the Royals in their IPL opener by 44 runs on Sunday, while LSG lost a thriller, a literal cracker, against the Delhi Capitals by 1 wicket on one day. SRH are the favourites to defeat LSG, who lost their opening game by a slim margin despite scoring 209 runs. Nikola Jokic racked up 39 points, 10 rebounds and 10 assists. In his return to the lineup, Michael Porter Jr. had 23 points and 10 rebounds, and the host Denver Nuggets beat the short-handed Milwaukee Bucks 127, in fact, to 117 on Wednesday evening. Christian Brown, meanwhile, added 19 points and 10 rebounds. Speaking of Jamal Murray, he scored 17 points, and Peyton Watson finished with 12 for Denver, which snapped a two-game home losing streak. Now, the studio head has historically been seen as a fearsome and all-powerful figure capable of ending even a career with the snap of a finger or changing lives rather with an impulsive green light. In the studio, though, Seth Rogen's studio chief is more Selina Mayer than Louis B. Mayer. As much as Rogen's Matt Tremick, head of the fictional Continental Studios, sits in a sought-after seat of power, he's helpless against larger trends in the film industry. Now, he wants to be making Chinatown, but instead, his most important task is getting a Kool-Aid movie off the ground. Rogen's character is often flanked by a team of executives played by Catherine Hahn and Barnholtz and Chi Sui Wonders. Although the series is satire, Rogen says the show is actually made by people who love what they do. Listen in.
I hope people watch it and understand that like they genuinely have the power to decide which movies get made and which ones don't, and that is a big responsibility. And I just hope that they are making those decisions for the right reasons. And generally, people who ascend to the head of a movie studio actually love movies, you know, and they could do something else if they didn't. Much easier and probably make much more money, you know, and the idea that they would be knowingly making movies worse or knowingly sacrificing merit creatively for a safe bet, I think it's just a stupid way to play the game, because you never know what's going to work. And at the end of the day, you could think you're mitigating all the risk in the world and still make a piece of shit no one likes, and you could take the biggest swing ever creatively and knock it out of the park. And so why not just take the creative swing? Why not do the thing that when you look back on when you're older, you're like, at least I went for it.
As part of a record-breaking Circus Maximus World Tour, Music World global rap sensation Travis Scott is set to make his way to India. His debut, the Grammy-winning rapper will bring his high-energy performance to the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in New Delhi on the 18th of October. The rapper will also perform in Africa, South Korea, China and Japan as part of his massive Circus Maximus World Tour, as he calls it. It's time we slip into a short break. See you on the other side.
At AJ Bell, we're all about making investing easy. Open an award-winning ISA today in under 15 minutes. AJ Bell, feel good investing.
No child should suffer the torture of trachoma. But so many are in pain right now. Nananga's lashes have turned inwards. They rip and tear away at his eyes. Pomelo's sight could be gone forever. He's just 3 years old. Kofanga screams for his mother. His eyes are so infected that he can't even see her. For so many children in the world's poorest country,
Chief Minister, who unnecessarily made a comment about the three-language policy and issues of Tamil Nadu, which he has any reason to be commenting about. First, let him get his house in order and under control. We see the kind of hate.
At Direct Line, we know that for multi-property landlords, sometimes the tiniest of things can turn into way bigger problems. From niggly contract issues to keeping up with ever-changing legislation. That's why Direct Line's landlord insurance offers a 24/7 legal helpline as standard. Because a call with someone could help to make the hairiest of problems feel that little bit smoother. Search Direct Line Landlord Insurance. We're on it.
Oh, wasn't he lovely? That young man at Avanti Travel Insurance.
Yeah, very.
He was so reassuring. They covered all our medical conditions, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Your diabetes, my dodgy hip.
And the rest.
Even at your age, love. Oh. Love?
Oh, great.
Oh, love.
Avanti Travel Insurance cover most pre-existing health conditions for all ages. That's travel reassurance. Call or go online.
I knew I should have got the flamingo.
Say hello to the UK's most personalised Mother's Day card. And now get 20% off all cards this Mother's Day. Moonpig.com.
It's been functioning in Chennai since the 1930s. I mean, we are not, even when the anti-Hindi agitation was on a high, probably not, even then the Hindi Prachar Sabha in Tamil Nadu was functioning. We never objected to that. We never caused any hindrance to that. We probably are not against any language. But my point is, like when Amit Shah ji says that, why is he against English? He says English should be wiped out from this nation. English is a global communication language. I mean, probably without English, however, probably no youth going to probably survive, when they go abroad. I mean, this is totally crazy. And next thing is, you told like probably he loves Tamil, but I'm asking you, nearly in Tamil Nadu we have around 8 crore Tamils, and throughout globally, you take Singapore, you take Malaysia, you take some of the even the European countries, Tamil is widely spoken, nearly around by 12 crore people. But how much was the funds allocated for promotion of Tamil? Probably a paltry 20 crores, whereas the amount allocated for Sanskrit was more than 500 crores. What is he going to say about that?
Meanwhile, the Delhi government has now renewed its pitch and is saying that the focus is on the education of the students. BJP government pitch for the students, 30 days, 180-hour free coaching scheme has been launched by the government of Delhi. This free 30-day crash course is for NEET and CUET, and the scheme will be applicable for Delhi government school students itself. Now, the government says over 1 lakh students are going to benefit from this scheme. Remember, education was one of the key factors for the Aam Aadmi Party, the government of Delhi, which the BJP, in fact, is running at this moment after 27 years of being in the opposition, also focusing on the education. Good initiative as being seen there by the government of Delhi. There was a free coaching institution, initiative by the previous Aam Aadmi Party government as well. We'll try and understand how different it is from there and how the government wants to in fact put this in place. But at this moment, we are learning that the government is all ready for a crash course, a 30-day crash course, 180 hours coaching scheme for students of class 11th and 12th in the national capital who are appearing for the NEET and the CUET examination. With that, we are slipping into a very short break. News and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.
Big deals now on. Get up to £200 off the Hisense titanium laundry range. Shop now at ao.com.
In People's Postcode Lottery's April draws, a share of £25.4 million must be won. Sign up before midnight on the 31st of March.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. Airflow can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000. Get your conditional decision in minutes.
Visit bingoaliens.com/bingo for a cosmic range of bingo games, taking bingo to another dimension at bingoaliens.com/bingo.
Please, can you send someone out? The poor thing is so skinny, I don't think he can walk.
Okay, let me take an address.
Today, the RSPCA will answer over 2,000 calls about animal cruelty and neglect.
It's just completely unacceptable, isn't it, mate?
Today, we will need to take over 100 animals into our care. Today, we urgently need your help to save them. Please call 0800 121 4230